So there's always this lovely term that people like to call mansplaining. But have any of you ever had your kids mansplain things to you? I don't even know what we should call that. Kidsplaining? Dadsplaining? My almost 12-year-old daughter just mansplained one of her trendy acronyms to me via text, and what it clearly said was, "What are we doing today?" Because I know her well enough. But she felt the need to type that out for me and then explain it. And I'm like, dang, she's got a lot of faith in Dad's intelligence. But what I really wanted to get to today was the other day in episode 3, I posted a video about why I stopped telling my kids no because I said so, with that logic. And the other part of it was why I don't spank my kids, but I edited the whole first half out and it's vanished. I guess I permanently deleted it. For the part explaining why I don't just simply tell my kids no, and then I try to make them think logically behind it. So there's a bunch of studies that show that kids don't form critical thinking skills and logic. They don't begin forming those skills until between the ages of 12 to 18. So my daughter is probably there. I think she has been for a while, but my son, not so much. So if I tell my son when he gets in the boat at the lake this summer that he needs to put a life jacket on, he says, "Why, Dad? We're not moving yet." And I say, just because I said so. He doesn't really have any cue, anything, I guess, prompting him to think of the logic behind that, to where if I said, "No, you need to put a life jacket on, son, because you could fall in the lake and drown, you could die, something really bad could happen to you," maybe phrase a little bit better. That works. But what I really like to do, and I found it works even better, and it really gets their wheels a spinning, is say, "No, Ryan, why do you think I would want you to put your life jacket on when you're in the boat? Why do you think I'm telling you, no, you need to put your life jacket on?" And get them to thinking about it. And that's one thing I've done that I've had better luck with, just aside from just kind of being a dictator as a parent, and just simply say no because I say so, as far as logic. I was actually talking to a friend about this earlier this morning. Little segue into something else about, a lot of men raise their boys and they have to be tough. And I think both men and women do have to be tough. Kids have to be tough. And it's good for parents and dads to teach them to be mentally tough. But at the same time, I think for boys and young men you're raising, you also have to teach them that they need to be compassionate and empathetic and kind, and that they need to learn to treat everybody well, but women well, and that it's okay as a man to cry your ass off sometimes. It happens. That's not weakness. It's emotion. And I think we have to teach our sons and daughters that they're going to be upset sometimes. Life is just going to suck. They're going to wake up in bad moods. And to try to teach kids that crying is not okay, and that getting those emotions out as weakness is the opposite of it. I think, listening to some of the toughest people that I've read about, and some of these really just badass military dudes that have done all these feats, those guys will sit around and cry talking about that stuff. And so I think weak-minded people are afraid to show emotion, and that it's okay for all of us to sometimes, and especially in front of your kids. I hear a lot of men are like, "I'd never cry in front of my kid." Like, they'll think, "Oh, I'm weak." And I don't think that's the case at all. And again, I'm no expert. I'm no psychology expert. This is just my philosophy. And I'm not perfect every day as a parent. I wake up some mornings in a bad mood and have to stop myself from getting quickly irritated with my kids, or even sometimes when they're away and they're with their mom, every couple weekends they'll text me and ask me a million questions about what we're doing when they come back, and I have to tell them I don't know, and then the other one will ask me, and you know how it is with parents, you gotta have a lot of patience. So when I post these, I'm by no means a perfect parent, and we all have our bad days, and I just like to keep in mind that just because I wake up when I'm in a crappy mood, it doesn't mean that that's the whole house's issue. Like, I can keep that to myself. I need to control my responses, and if the kids do irritate me or if they're fighting, I don't need to let that amplify what my normal reaction would be. And I try not to yell at the kids. I think there's a difference between yelling and raising your voice. You know, if my kids are across the house and I need them to come in and grab their stack of laundry and put it up, then I'm gonna raise my voice and, hey, you need to come get your laundry. That's different than yelling at them. And I'm bound to slip up. You know, the teenage years are coming up for my daughter very quickly, and experiencing some of those tough emotional things that she's going through already. And there's days where I just have to keep in mind and be patient that neither one of them really understand for sure what they're feeling. Sometimes that comes out as anger. And my daughter and I had this really cool thing going for about 2 weeks straight, to where almost every night we would sit down by the piano and play and sing, or I'd pick up the guitar. And she naturally just loves music and singing. She learned ukulele a couple years ago, was getting really good at it, and just decided to quit it because it hurt her fingers. And so as she expressed interest again in karaoke and singing, I'm like, heck yeah, let's start this routine. We're gonna sit down by the piano, we're gonna play some old school songs and do this together. This is what we're gonna do every night. And now my son's doing it with me too. And all of a sudden, a couple nights ago, my daughter just didn't want to do it and was just repulsed by it. And I'd ask her a couple times, and she came and sat with me and just was not into it, was not putting out any effort singing. And I had to take away my emotional attachment to doing that every evening and realize that she's just not going to be into it sometimes, and that's something I want us to do together, and I really, really wanted to. And of course, I'm a softie. My feelings were kind of hurt when she didn't want to, but I have to take that away. That's something she's clearly saying, tell me she doesn't want to do that evening. And you know, I'm sure there will be an evening here in a couple days to where she'll say, hey Dad, let's sit down. She'll realize it's time and she'll want to do it. Yesterday she was kind of hitting me up on a couple songs she wants me to learn, because I finally talked her into, if she's going to do karaoke, then she can sit around and I can learn the song on guitar or piano or ukulele, and we can play that together. And so I've got her buy-in that she'll sing with me now, which is really cool because it's a really special thing that we do together. And so I'm like, how is singing over what I'm playing much different than karaoke? And that logic got in her head, so she has a list of things she wants me to learn for her to play, for us to jam out together, which is awesome. But I'm also hoping that I can get her engaged into learning an instrument. You know, I play guitar proficiently and ukulele proficiently. Piano, I just dabble in and write songs on, but I know the basics of it. And I want her to learn some of these instruments, and I keep telling her that music and learning musical skills is something that you'll always have with you. It'll never go away, and it'll get you through a lot. And I guess that's why I'm grateful that I decided to start learning the guitar when I was a teenager, because there's been many evenings where I sit around and I don't feel like watching TV or painting or doing anything else, and I pick up the guitar and something from my mind pours out into the world as an original song that's never existed before. And I think it's really cool playing music, and I feel extremely blessed and grateful that this happens to me, that and I've talked about it on my other episodes, but songs come to my head and I'll wake up with a full guitar song and melody in my head, and I have to figure out how to get that out on the guitar, and that's a challenge sometimes. But a couple mornings ago that happened with full song lyrics. Like, I woke up to a text message and I'd already had these lyrics in my head, and it just so happened that text message related to those lyrics, and I got out of bed immediately and went and picked up the guitar and started writing a song, and realized that first off, it was not a song that was meant for the guitar. So I hopped down on the piano and it came alive in, probably 3 minutes, a full song. So I would love to give my kids that gift, and I don't want to force my kids to do stuff they don't want to do, but for both of them, since they tend to lean towards music in the arts versus wanting to be real athletic, I think both of them are going to end up putting piano lessons. And there's a whole lot of kids that are in piano lessons, they end up hating it, and then they have that gift that they take with them the rest of their life, and they're classically trained. So I'm hoping some genetics kick in there eventually, and both my kids just become obsessed with wanting me to teach them music, and that they can exceed my skill level, a couple years after I start teaching them, or well before that. So it's kind of the goal. But again, if kids are just really disengaged in something and they're deciding they don't want to do it, and it's not something that is about putting in hard work or work ethic, it's just something that's a ritual, I think I've personally met a lot of more resistance if I try to force that, and I have to take away that emotional attachment to the activity on my end, and realize that kids are just like us sometimes, and we wouldn't want to be told, hey, you have to sit down and play guitar, or sit with me while I play piano and sing. I think of things again from an adult perspective, and trying to teach kids, trying to treat them like adults in some manners, while keeping in mind that they're children and they have to have a childhood as well. So anyway, those are my long, in-depth thoughts for today. Rambling a little scatterbrained this morning, but vehicle's not moving, by the way. Kids went to their mom's last night and they're coming back. This would typically be one of my full weekends, so waiting for them to show up. And I had some thoughts on my mind, and looking back through some of my videos, I needed to go back and clarify a couple things that I accidentally edited out and that disappeared. So thanks for watching. Keep the good vibes going. Talk to you soon.